As I stated in the previous video, Nick Land's Meltdown is a text essential to understanding accelerationism as an ideological force. What Land sought to do, by my reading, was basically to appropriate the claims of neoliberal capitalism to suit his own ends. Where neoliberalism claims to be a liberatory force which opens trade up, deregulates industries and cuts down government spending, Land agrees and adds that this will result in inevitable and likely desirable techno-capital singularity. Meltdown suggests that hyperfluid capital deterritorializing to the planetary level divests the First World of geographic privilege, resulting in a Euro-American neo-mercantilist panic reaction, welfare state deterioration, cancerizing enclaves of domestic underdevelopment, political collapse, and this is framed as a progressive development. The term deterritorializing here suggests a process of dismantling, and it comes from the work of Gilles Deleuze and Felix Guattari. These post-structuralist philosophers, who were often concerned with psychoanalysis and schizophrenia, became a major influence on Land's work, and on accelerationism more broadly. Land identifies a potential use of their work in Meltdown. Philosophy has an affinity with despotism, due to its predilection for Platonic fascist top-down solutions that always screw up viciously. Schizoanalysis works differently. It avoids ideas and sticks to diagrams, networking software for accessing bodies without organs. As this suggests, Land was very interested in the question of liberation from societal control. Not necessarily liberation of the human, but a kind of abstracted atomic liberation. The liberation which capital's free market affords, and which will ultimately culminate in a singularity from whence only technology can emerge. In Terminator vs. Avatar, Mark Fisher offers the following criticism. Land collapses capitalism into what Deleuze and Guattari call schizophrenia, thus losing their most critical insight into the way that capitalism operates via simultaneous processes of deterritorialization and compensatory reterritorialization. Capital's human face is not something that it can eventually set aside, an optional component or sheath cocoon with which it can ultimately dispense. Where Fisher, an avowed anti-capitalist, believed that capital presented blockages to freedom and technological progress, Land saw the nation-state and other top-down institutions as the ultimate obstacle. Meltdown states that this massively distributed matrix network tendency is oriented to the disabling of ROM command control programs sustaining all macro and micro governmental entities, globally concentrating themselves as the human security system. Thus, Land saw a security system of existing institutions as a structure inhibiting liberation by capital, where Fisher believed in a liberation from capital itself. A key distinction, then, can be seen in attitudes towards the internet. Land's position in the 1990s would only envision the internet as a decentralizing tool of capital's process of liberation. However, this attitude was not a universal consensus in the period. Deleuze's 1990 text, Postscript on the Societies of Control, speaks of ultra-rapid forms of free-floating control, distinct from anything in traditional disciplinary societies, opining that the operation of markets is now the instrument of social control. He goes on to specifically identify computers whose passive danger is jamming and whose active one is piracy and the introduction of viruses as machines of control. Deleuze didn't survive the 1990s, but I think it's fair to say that this represents a warning about the internet which this video has been uploaded to.